one-sided. I thought they were, I don't know. Harstom's good, and he beat ByuL yesterday, but sort of's really good as well. So, I don't know. Look at this. Aggression from the get-go as we go into this best 5. Game number 1 to the top left side of the map. He ain't messing around. Our Blue Zerg player gonna go 12 pool, 11 gas. It is ByuL from team Looking for Team, which is owned by WardiTV, of course. Bottom right, red Zerg player from NC Sports. Serral. Pool first, safety pool. Oh, Serral boy! He's opening safely to begin with in this series as ByuL comes with a drone scout. We'll see this, and Serral is sending one too many drones down to the low ground there momentarily. And ByuL. Oh, he drones. How interesting. So the drone scout sees the pool first and decides to drone. We'll still have a fast gas, but he'll essentially go for an all-in. He'll essentially just have a better economy before he all-ins, I guess. That's so interesting. That's so weird. That's so weird. Is anyone else? That is weird, right? Yeah, I think that's weird. Okay, well, 6 things from Serral are going to start heading out onto the map here. They're going to go around the side, and I mean, Serral so far doesn't know what this is. So his 6 links off the pool first are like, aha, I'm going to catch you off guard doing a pool first, and maybe be aggressive enough to take myself into an advantage. And these 6 lings actually hurt Serral a bit, because obviously ByuL's going to have speed faster, ByuL's going to have lings, and it just slows down Serral's drone count, which is his one advantage in this game right now. As we do see these lings coming up, and well, ByuL is starting to make lings of his own, getting ready to utilize this Zergling speed. One worker on gas is slowly mining away, getting up towards 50. And as Serral arrives at his opponent's natural, he's going to realize how late it is. He's probably like, well, where are your units? Because I would be like, where are your units? He's probably expecting lings to run into his base any second now. Immediately build a spine crawler in response to this. And well, here we go. The lings are massing up from ByuL. We mentioned this. It was just going to be kind of a later attack, basically, that he was going to go for. And these lings actually from Serral now are going to loop around the left-hand side. And he's just going to keep on making lings. You know, this could be really cool. If he was to be able to get across with all these... with these lings, and these lings coming in... These lings could do a lot. These lings could do a lot. If Serral can just hold at home, he could be in a great position. Did he cancel his spine? He cancelled his spine. Probably because he wasn't under attack just yet. Oh, he's going to let the lings in, but then ByuL decides not to go for it. He goes for the Bane Nest. Lings across the map, Killer Queen. There's no lings out for ByuL right now, so the drones are going to be under fire. This is a great counter from Serral. I mean, this counter from Serral is basically just saving his game right now, and he saves the Queen as well. Serral! So sick! Completely outplaying ByuL right now. Wow. That's, that was so sick. Like, that really was so sick. A few Banes to the right-hand side. Starting to morph in, because Serral didn't lose his Baneling Nest. ByuL is in trouble, man. He doesn't have a Queen on the natural. He's going to be broken through here by Serral. Serral's just really dominating these early stages. His Banes already, and again, ByuL does not have Baneling. Serral just has to micro half decently right now, and he's going to be able to take this. Uses a Bane. GG from ByuL. Serral takes game number 1. Really solid play. Really side of Cactus Valley. Not making a drone just yet, because he's going to drop down the 12 pool. Our red Zerg player is ByuL. Bottom right from NC Sports, Serral, our blue Zerg. Interested to see if he goes pool first again and plays safe. Serral's the kind of guy a lot of the time to just play safe again and again. Confident in his kind of follow-up plays. Now he's going to do it. Pool first. Build order advantage. Second game in a row for Serral against this 12 pool. Now a 12 pool nowadays is very much so a pressure build. A pool first will definitely help against it. But it definitely isn't kind of just a straight up Serral has won game 2 already. So we're going to be seeing the pool finishing, and 6 lings start to come on up here from ByuL, so they're going to come down towards the bottom right side. Again, Serral's about to take a hatchery. Serral's also got this Overlord coming in very quickly to the upper right. And when he sees that Overlord, he's therefore going to know, well, he's actually just going to see this hatchery, so his first Overlord going to the... I mean, it's just the kind of advantage of the spawns. You know, the first Overlord you get as a Zerg generally goes to the closest natural, so you can check that natural as quickly as possible on a 4-player map. And that's exactly what happens here. Serral, he sends his Overlord to the closest natural, sees the hatch. ByuL sends his to the closest natural, and sees nothing. He knows Serral is bottom right, though. And because Serral sees these lings, sees that hatchery, he knows exactly what this is as well. So he knows he's playing against a 12 pool. 2 workers, 3 workers in gas, 2 lings out, 2 more on the way. He'll look to hold the low ground with a ling production and probably a drone pull as well. Being 5 workers ahead, he can afford to take some workers off the line for a while to try and keep this hatchery alive. So he's going to wait for 4 more lings. He's got his queen to pop an inject, and then go from there. He's actually only going to pull 5, 6 drones. Is that enough? Well, time to find out. Hatchery's getting very low, but he will start to fight. The drones, nice micro to the south side already, pulling back in towards the main. Queen is coming down as well to try and help. This hatchery is getting lower and lower. Serral again, he doesn't really want to commit to the fight for too long. Great micro again, pulling back at a very late moment with the drones before he loses them. Lings are getting lower and lower as well, though Serral in a bit of trouble. Perhaps this Queen also in trouble. More drones will come in, get a good surround. Is it enough? How many drones has he lost so far? 4. And these drones go back up to the high ground. Keeps the Queen alive. A lot of these Lings super low health. And that means that the Queen should be able to pick his way through them. ByuL droning heavily behind this, and Serral, well, he lost. I think he comes out of this in a deficit. I think ByuL does kind of get, is successful with his attack basically. ByuL doesn't have gas. Serral does start ling speed. Serral still 5 workers. What's the difference right now? The queens? No, ByuL's got 2 extra queens on the way. Wow, ByuL just comes out ahead of the 12 pool. So we do see this group of lings coming back up to the upper right. ByuL actually making a few more lings now, I guess, to defend. Which is where Serral does get the chance to upgrade, or not upgrade, but to catch up a bit in terms of his worker count. And we do just see, again, a few more drones on the way up. Again, for Serral, he has to pull those drones down and protect his natural. Because if he doesn't, then this natural of ByuL just comes up so much faster, and that does become problematic. Roach Warren and an Evo Chamber here from ByuL is really not too much of a surprise. When you open kind of what gasless like ByuL has done here, the Roach-based follow-up is really, again, sort of an expected sort of occurrence. I wouldn't be surprised if Serral even looked at this and said, huh, okay, well, I'm just going to throw down a Roach Warren and an Evo Chamber of my own. I'm just going to use that and just maybe even cancel his speed to some extent. There is advantages Serral can play with here, and those advantages, does he actually see the front? He doesn't, so he has no idea. There's advantages that Serral can play with, range, and they have a variety of things they can be. Sees this now, link speed will be allowed to finish. He can take a faster third hatchery. That's something he can almost definitely do, because he's going to have link speed against no link speed. But of course he's going to be way behind on that Evo Chamber. I wonder if Serral wants to be... I mean, he's just droning up, his drone count is still good. Less starts, of course, from ByuL as he wants to go in towards that +1, the roach speed as well as the +1. And we will see the Evo Chamber dropping down from Serral, allowing him to go into this as well. So, Evo Chamber coming down from Serral, and still a few lings positioned up towards the upper right-hand side. Just watching, just stopping ByuL from moving out with a drone to that third hatchery, as we've been mentioning. He does not want ByuL to be able to go towards that, so far so good. And again, the third hatch of Serral already halfway completed, so that's nice too. Now, Serral's actually going to go for a Carapace upgrade. Obviously, we're going to be looking to rely on, instead of just kind of roaches, lings and roaches. So that's going to be an upgrade which, both of his units benefit from. I wonder why he cancels, he doesn't actually place the hatchery. Because he did have the drone about to place the hatchery, which I feel would have probably not gone down to the Zerglings. Okay, hatchery will go down now then. Again, Serral with the lings just going to keep on running around here. 2 more overlords currently building. And again, that Carapace upgrade is starting to come on through. Roaches gathering out the front. And ByuL with +1 missile attack. Roach speed coming into play. Going to be seeing what he can get up to as well. Third hatchery of Serral comes in towards the third base here. So going to throw that... Well, third hatchery is finished up. Again, the difference between the Carapace and the missiles is intriguing. Because the missile upgrade is generally way better for Roach versus Roach. But in Ling Roach versus Roach... Carapace is going to be huge because it's going to be able to keep those lings alive for 3 shots, and it means that the roaches are going to waste so much time kind of attacking the Lings. That's where kind of Serral's benefit lies. And I was going to say, it's because Serral's kind of very all-in off of Hatch Tech. He did start a lair, but he cancelled it because he just wants to play a big Ling Roach attack, basically. So, here we go. Serral going to start heading up the right-hand side of the map. Ravagers are finishing morphing. And ByuL has to just prepare against this. Now, again, he will have +1 missiles, which, again, will sort of counteract the +1 Carapace. And so the upgrades are somewhat even. Again, generally, +1 missiles with Roach on Roach is better, because of the way that Roach is overkill, etc. Let's see what Serral can do. The upgrades are pretty... the army supplies are pretty even here. Serral, let's see if the Lings are going to be able to give him enough of a quality of life influence here. The Corrosive Bowels and Ravagers he's got as well, obviously going to be very important. Couple of Bowels to protect his Overlord from those Queens. Serral, a lot more Lings coming in. These slow Lings from ByuL are actually going to counterattack around the left side of the map. Serral sees it and he'll be able to pull back and actually deal with these pretty swiftly. So they will go down, but now ByuL is going to go on the aggressive. He's going to come forwards, and again, he's got Roach speed. Serral does not because he doesn't have a lair still. And Serral has to be cautious because, well, just in general, Serral's going to start falling behind. +2 missiles on the way from ByuL. He hasn't found a way to attack here already, and as he gets a few more Overlords up, what is he going to build? 2 more Ravagers. But again, no lair. So he's playing without Roach speed, he's playing without +2 potential. I mean, he still hasn't even started +1 missiles, even though he is still... You know, he could even go, without the lair start +1 missile attack if he wants to continue macroing, but the reality is, I think, that he does not want to continue macroing. He wants to go for a fight, and then this game very soon. And his timing window basically lasts until +2 missile attacks finishes. At that point, I don't think you can win this game, as these Lings going to run in, sees the Roaches. He's thinking about it. You can see what he wants to do. Obviously, if the Lings can wrap around the Roaches as well, the Ravagers can Corrosive Bow very effectively. Good split away here initially by ByuL, but it is forcing him to disengage, which allows the Lings to wrap around, which allows the Corrosive Bows to sometimes come down and actually connect. As Serral pushing forwards here, Lings still streaming through. The thing is, the Ravagers of Serral do not die, and that is because the Lings are doing such a fantastic job tanking, but is it enough? Does it last long enough? Serral does not have reinforcements here anytime soon. Trying to Corrosive Bile down the Roach Warren would be a huge play. I mean, there's already a lot of Roaches on the way up, though. He's still winning this fight. Another Corrosive Bile. Roach Warren's going to go down. Now Serral will keep on spamming Zerglings. Another Roach Warren begins to build. Lings once again coming forwards. Will try and catch the Roaches so the Biles do connect. Man, these Ravagers are doing so much. Again, the Ling's so important, though, in this, as, again, a few more of them arriving. Is it enough, though? Because, again, Serral, his Ravagers are very squishy if they do get attacked by the Roaches, and that is starting to happen. Now he has to pull back with these. Remember, no Roach speed for Serral, so the Ravagers drop very quickly. ByuL with a lot of money in the bank for when that Roach Run comes up once again. Serral has rebuilt some Roaches, too, which are beginning to come across the map. They're going to take a while, though. And ByuL does hold on. That was really, really sick, though. I mean, Serral very nearly breaking through. ByuL +2 missile attack now finishes, and that really will just make the difference. This was so close. Like, Serral, for a moment there, I thought he was going to have it. I mean, it was a decent trade, but again, now with +2 missile attack, the Roach Warren is back up as well. And that's where kind of ByuL was just lacking. That's why he was down on supply, because Serral had killed the Roach Warren. He just couldn't build anything yet. As it stands now, well, we're going to see a bit of a Ling run by hitting the mineral line. Going to try and get a drone or two as... Again, Serral just gathering units up over here. He's going to bring those Lings forwards again. +2 missiles now means that the Lings do get 2 shot. And that's a pretty big difference compared to previously. And it just means that those Lings are nowhere near as tanky as they once were. As now Serral starts a +1 missile attack. That's when you know the guy feels as though this attack is over. Starts +1 missiles. Well, I mean, he's going to have to start a lair as well if he wants to do something with this. Still has the Ling speed, still has the Lings to counterattack and harass. And that's a playstyle Serral loves to utilize. And it's probably something he will look to continue using in the future, just to kind of buy himself time. But you can see, ByuL, I love this idea as well, Baneling Nest, because that's one way to shut down this Ling-based playstyle that Serral has been so reliant on up until this point. Serral with a few more drones on the way, Lings to the right, Lings to the left. Yeah, if he gets Lings into the main, natural, and third at the same time, that could be the distraction or the damage he needs to just somehow stay in this. I mean, ByuL is just maxing up on Roaches, though. Look at the income lead ByuL has had for a while there. Actually, what was he so far ahead for? I think Serral maybe just down a few drones for a few moves. I actually don't know. I actually really have no idea. 2 minutes ago? Doesn't really kind of mean anything. What happened 2 minutes ago for ByuL to take such a lead? We are going to see Ling's going to try and dart on in. They will just commit towards the main. These Lings over here are going to get pushed away, though. So for Serral, these Lings have to get damage done, because otherwise, well, I mean, he's just not going to get... otherwise, he's just throwing away units, which he kind of needs to defend otherwise. I mean, he's going to try and loop around because it was a good defense by ByuL. Pulled the drones, didn't lose any of them. Kept the Queen alive as well. Roaches coming in and cleaning up once again. And this +1 missile is about to finish up from Serral. Oh, ByuL, he's been tested this game. We do see somehow these Lings back over to this side. 5 more drones picked off. Serral is at a 9-worker lead. ByuL will just rebuild that instantly, but now I think he's getting to that point where he realizes he's just killed a whole ton of Lings. And that means that Serral just does not have very much back at home. So he's going to start moving across the map, and he's going to get ready to just shut this down. He does start morphing some Banes of his own. Again, we mentioned that a good way to shut down the Ling-heavy playstyle that Serral has been utilizing until now to try and keep himself alive and kind of kicking in the game. Now Serral, he's going to just go for... If he could jump on half of this army, I still don't think it's enough. I think he needs more than that. More Ling's going to go counterattack across the map instantly. Rosapas initially are good. Those Banes are going to try and connect on in. But in the end, it's a Serral sandwich because ByuL wraps around. Serral does a good job to move down to low ground here, which is going to be the better position for him to continue fighting in. But it's still just going to be too much from ByuL. Running on forwards, and Serral again, a Ling counterattack does finish that Queen, does start to kill off some drones. Doesn't matter if you can never kill the Roaches that are already in your third base. Serral is going to have to type out a game too. But this was back and forth, and this was, again, so close. Those initial attacks by Serral, they very nearly broke ByuL here. Serral. And we're going to see a bit of a switch around in terms of who is attacking who early in this one. Top left side, our blue Zerg player is ByuL. Tying things up, 1 apiece. His opponent to the bottom right-hand side, Serral, opens 12-11. So he goes for the build that ByuL kind of went for in game 1. As we'll see, ByuL going to go for the gas pool after the Overlord. Paladino is such a weird map for ZvZ because you never really want to hatch first on such a small map. But any sort of aggression can hit so fast that even a gas pool at this sort of time from ByuL could put him into a couple of issues. Bane Nest quickly from Serral, so he's going to bypass the Ling speed straight to Banelings to really apply a lot of pressure super quickly in this. First Lings moving forwards. Ideally, would probably want to avoid this Overlord, but it's not really going to happen very easily. And so the Overlord of ByuL will see these Zerglings coming across the map in the very early stages of this game number 3. He has got his own Lings on the way. Now Serral will be peeling a couple of Lings off at some point in the near future to start morphing in those Banelings, and that's where the defense from ByuL is going to become very, very important. And as these Lings do indeed start to work their way through that hatchery. So hatchery taking some damage, more Lings coming across here. And there is 2 of them just morphing to the side of this kind of line of sight blocker. ByuL is actually not going to come down and protect the hatchery. He's just going to give it up. Doesn't think he can deal with it. Which is good for Serral because he's already taken the expansion back at home. There's the cancel from ByuL. He will lose this drone. He actually keeps it alive. Actually, smart from Serral. Just sends 1 Ling after the drone so that he can keep on, keeping it busy. His Banes, Serral actually just going to pull them back. Is he just going to pull back completely? Huh. How interesting. How interesting. Yeah, I don't really know actually. Like, it sort of feels as though... Man, I really don't know. I know it sounds kind of stupid, but like... Serral's going to be down on workers. His hatch is a bit faster, yes. He has no Ling speed, by the way. He's only just now kind of starting to mine a lot more gas. So maybe that's why, because he knows he doesn't have Ling speed against Ling speed of his opponent. ByuL throws down a Bane Nest. It's gonna... Everything evens up right now. ByuL will make a few more drones, even it out. Serral morphs in some Banes. Still not using his Ling speed. Those Banes will keep him very, very safe, and he needs to, because he just cannot afford these Lings to get into the main, because he's just so slow to respond to them if they already start getting in the right positions. Cancels 1 Bane, because he realizes at some point he does want a Ling speed of his own, obviously. And he'll try and get in towards that. 1 Ling going to lead the charge. The Bane's going to be microed by Serral, so no, they do not go off there. And again, just going to be looking for These couple of lings in the back. Nice block by Serral as well. If anything else, just kind of stopping his opponent from seeing inside the main and sort of getting the scout off. Stops him from seeing whether it's roaches or not, for example. And for the second game in a row, I'd say we kind of come out of the aggressive early game with a pretty similar situation from both players on our hands. Both of them have about 30-ish workers in the next couple of moments. They're both kind of on Ling Bane. Arguably, Serral still doesn't have Ling speed, but if he's just going to play defensively, I mean, Ling speed's always nice, but playing defensively, it's not going to be the make or break of you, because you're just going to sit here and use your Banes to defend anyways. So unless he really screws up the micro, it's looking pretty standard between them as, lets the Ling into the main base. He obviously is going to allow him to scout completely, which is okay, I guess. I mean, there's not much to scout. There's a Rotoron coming down in the back of the natural. Was that scouted? It was. So, ByuL sees the Rotoron. Evo Chamber from Serral too to make this look a little bit less like an all-in. Serral is not paying attention. And his Zerglings run right into a Baneling there, which is obviously very unfortunate. Just loses a little bit of the advantage he had in terms of army supply. As we are going to see, the Lings will protect this Bane of his own. And now we're going to see ByuL attempt to come. It's interesting, that was one of the only Banes ByuL made out on the map. His other two sat at home, and, well, it definitely paid off for him. ByuL then, +1 missile attack, Lair and the Rotoron, just setting up very nicely into that kind of sort of 2-base roach speed +1 attack. And, you know, a setup that we're so used to seeing in ZvZ. Serral will take the low ground third hatchery here, and that's something ByuL's going to try and wrap around. The low ground third is generally a lot safer, by the way, and that's why we'll see the players sort of taking this most likely. It's very, very safe, actually, the low ground third, because there's only one way in and one way out, so it's very effective indeed. Serral is not ready for this little bit of a Ling counter-attack, though. And so these Lings are going to be a little bit of a problem. He'll pull drones to try and fight as the Queen goes down. And the Queen will indeed drop there. A Bane coming down from the main base to try and help defend, and he will get a connection to clean up just before the drones drop. Serral making a bit of a clutch defense towards the end of that. +1 on the way. Again, his roach speed will be later. Now, roach speed at a disadvantage this timing. It helps in fights, it helps you position, but as long as you're not the aggressor, it's still the same as the Ling speed. If you're not being the aggressor, the roach speed is not going to be that critical. It's nice to have, of course it is, but it's not going to make or break you. As we see these two Ling Banes in here, not going to have much luck, and the roaches will pick off one of them. As Serral darts in towards the main, sees the Spire finished up, will grab himself a drone kill there as well. You're going to see the Lings jump into the other side, will grab himself, no, not quite another drone kill, unfortunately. Not quite going to happen just there yet then. I mean, behind us, I mean, everything's looking pretty similar. ByuL is a little bit further ahead in army supply, and his +1 finishes slightly sooner as well, so just a slightly crisper timing perhaps from ByuL. Serral moves forward to try and greet him, but again, not having +1 of his own just yet makes this very risky. And so he has to be very, very cautious about whether he actually wants to attack into this position. He kind of does because he wants to protect his third base, but he just doesn't have the roach numbers, he doesn't have the upgrade. And so this fight is very one-sided in favor of ByuL, and you can just see him continue to collapse on the army of Serral. Serral is getting pushed away, and ByuL, man, Serral's already messed up by taking this fight. Like, he just couldn't afford to take the fight when he was already down an upgrade. For 20 seconds or so, it's a huge amount of time he's going to be at a deficit for, and ByuL is just going to be able to clean this up. Serral, again, just slow on the follow-up into the roaches. And that slowness going into roaches has just cost him this game because he just doesn't have the +1 in time. GG, ByuL. And we kick off to the bottom right-hand side with the red Zerg player. It is ByuL. Top left, blue Zerg, Serral. Man, this is such an annoying bug. Slight difference at the start of this game, extractor trick versus no extractor trick. Very, one of those things we used to discuss a lot back in the day is, was this better, was that better? Now we have an income graph to see. So the ByuL comes out ahead. So apparently extractor trick is better. Gets his hatchery down about the same time. It's a very minor thing. I mean, we're talking about being ahead on income for like split seconds, a few seconds at the start of the game. As you do see the Overlord just coming down to the south side, obviously you lose some resources as well, an entire 6 minerals. Pretty huge deal. Actually comes into Serral's favor now. The income. It's pretty minor differences. As, well, we're going to see this is the first game where one player hasn't opted to be very aggressive in the early game. At least right from the start of the early game, so this is nice. We're going to actually get to see like a game from the start, I guess, which is going to be very much so kind of evenly played, I guess, from either side. I guess, I mean, evenly played is a weird one, because we've been coming out of these aggressive plays with nothing really too crazy happening. Like, we've been coming out of the 12 pool with, like, one of these players trailing so heavily that they'll never get back in the game, or anything like that. In fact, it's been fairly even throughout. It's been interesting to see what both players do when neither of them get kind of distracted after the, you know, the first few minutes. So link speed is starting to come on out. A couple of gate workers continuing to mine the gas. Again, Queen's just on the way on either side, and we're still just mirroring each other here in the early stages of this Zerg versus Zerg. Again, Serral, one of the strongest Zerg players in Europe as it stands, alongside Nurture. Would be pretty much the two that you would... And Snoot, of course. Serral, Nurture, Snoot, all very powerful lately. But, not necessarily kind of like... I don't know. It's tough to kind of really say who's better. I think Serral has a lot of hype around him. Nurture just went to the finals of a DreamHack. It's difficult to say. We're going to see these Queens going to pick off the Lings. You do see the Bane Nest just on the way up as well. ByuL is going to go straight to Roaches though. And the Evo Chamber as well. What is Serral going to do? Because again, like, this is ByuL cutting corners. And so far, Serral hasn't really found ways to punish that. It'd be interesting if he did. Third hatchery will come down. I mean, that's going to be Serral's advantage against what is a faster attempt into Roaches. And actually, ByuL, interestingly enough, will start the Carapace this time around. So maybe looking to do a little bit of what Serral was going for earlier, that sort of Ling Roach place play, rather than the just pure Roach. We'll see. I think it's difficult to do Ling Roach, though, if you don't have a third hatchery, because you generally do just need that little bit of extra production. Just because of how many lava the Lings tend to use. Bane Nest for ByuL as well. Maybe it just turns this into a big Roach Bling Bane win then. I mean, Serral so far, just an Evo Chamber coming down. No sign of a Roach run, which obviously isn't very hopeful for him. He does start +1 missile attack. But a lot of Lings. So actually, the Roach run is just a fake here from ByuL. I mean, Serral's looking at this and saying, oh, okay, you've got a wall off, you're looking to be very safe, making sure I can't attack you, because you're trying to get up into Roaches. It's kind of the exact opposite. Carapace is the upgrade being built. It's going to be a big Ling Bane attack very shortly, as Lings are just going to stack up in the back. And it's Serral who isn't getting a shortcut, but is maybe going to just be caught off guard. He's droning heavily past the kind of two-base saturation, and now Lings move out on the map. Serral sees this for the first time, and what does he have? Well, he's got some lava starting to pop, a couple of Banes already on the way up, which he'll have to use to delay his opponent's attack. So 2 Banes on the way up. The third hatchery is finished, but will probably not be able to kind of realistically do much here. The first Baneling will come in, and actually it's going to be... How did that not go off on anything? Oh my god. The fact that the Banes didn't go off there at all is kind of crazy. Serral. Remember, Serral defends this. He's got +1 missiles coming through, a Roach Roaring to utilize, and a Lair about to finish. 20 workers, 20 army supply apiece. Serral also has a substantially large economy lead at this moment. 1 Bane for 1 Bane right there, but it does put another couple of Banes low, and that will be a successful trade for ByuL in the end. Queen will pick off an Overlord. ByuL will get towards a supply block now. Something Serral has absolutely no fear of hitting anytime soon. Those Banes of ByuL splits away at the last moment. These are good though. It's 2 for 2 again. 1 Bane still chasing over here as... Oh, Serral somehow makes that happen. That was sort of crazy. Like, that shouldn't have happened. I feel as though ByuL should... Oh, man, these Banes, she feels as though they should be killing way more on either side at the moment. ByuL does have the Carapace upgrade, which, remember, will help him trade in this Ling Bane scenario, but as +1 missiles comes through, Serral will feel more confident to go into his Roaches. Still ahead on that income tab quite significantly, with the third hatchery rolling. As actually Serral comes down and just sees the third hatch unsaturated for his opponent at the moment. And then he will be trying to run through here, and he will get into the main. Probably won't do too much, just scouts around, just wants to figure out what's happening for his opponent. And he'll try and grab a drone, but it doesn't go down. A few more lings coming across, and he'll try and hit this third base actually, which is currently unprotected. And this time he'll be a bit more successful in terms of hunting drones. He'll get 1, now 2, and 3. And it's not bad for a few Zerglings that he gives away there. Again, maintaining about a 10 worker lead here so far, Serral. Looking very, very successful for him. +2 missile attack on the way, roach speed as well. And as both players transition into kind of a roach stage of this game, you know, the +2 missile attack over +1 is going to be hugely advantageous. Also, +2 missiles will be the point against the +1 Carapace Lings, where Serral is once again 2-shot nose and able to move through them nice and quickly, so that they're way less of an issue when they're trying to tank, etc. And look at that, simultaneous spires from both players. Kind of actually a little bit ridiculous that they both throw it down at the same time, more or less. ByuL throws his down, then Serral throws his. So it means that Serral's probably not going to look to be too aggressive with the +2 missiles. Will instead be saving up for those Mutalisks in the upcoming moments. So these Lings up the right hand side, a couple of Banes going into mineral lines over here. There's one Bane right now being saved. The first Bane went off on just a few of those Lings again, +1 Carapace, keeping him safe. ByuL with a lot of army to the left, but I mean again, Serral is pumping out units at this point, throwing down a couple of spines, maybe not feeling quite secure. The fact he's 20 army supply ahead, while also still trying to save to go into mutas, is just sort of a testament to how far ahead he has been throughout the game. Again, the income advantage has been his for coming up towards 5 minutes now. And that's something which, of course, you'll want to kind of maintain, you know, try and maintain moving further forwards. Alright, well, Spire's about to finish. As Spire's finished, Serral will be having a little bit more gas, so you will be able to make 1 extra muta. It's a very minor little thing, but the other thing is as well, Serral has the +2 missiles already invested into, which means that if ByuL wants to go into further upgrades, he still has to spend that gas on something that isn't mutalist, basically. Now, Serral obviously has figured out mutas are on the way. He's seen the Spire or something. No? Where are the spores? Are they just kind of in case of burrowed roaches then? Potentially. Some roaches to the right-hand side again set to go. Some army to the left as well from ByuL. And Serral so far is just going to move into position and even number of roaches here, more or less. Serral gets the better concave, and he has +2 missile attack. Some Ling's going to run forwards, though, as we see the mutas starting to pop out for Serral. Mutas behind this from ByuL. Serral's being attacked on all fronts. These Lings coming forwards are going to be very frustrating and will make life a bit more difficult. But Serral will hold at the front convincingly. It's his 4th base that's under real pressure. The mutas on their way over there to get rid of that threat and to kind of move on through. Serral actually loses the 4th, but he does have a lot of minerals to utilize though, so he can rebuild that, but he really wants the gases to come up there ASAP if he wants to continue building mutas. And look at this, Flyer Carapace against Flyer attacks. It's interesting because it's almost as though Serral has just seen the Spire, but he really hasn't. Has he? Still? No? He just sort of feels like this is the way it's going to go. Meter count right now, 13 to 14. Serral turns momentarily, and he's just going to fight here. Use the roaches underneath to try and tank. The Lings will do the same, though, from ByuL. Serral has to get out of there. He lost that fight just by a Mutalist or so, but look at the damage on his meters. Has to pull back to regenerate. More Lings on the way. Serral trying to spend his minerals at this point. And as we will see, those Lings actually going to start looping around the left side. Going to hit the 4th of ByuL. Look to take that down. And as Serral moves forwards with these queens, he'll have transfused a little bit of anti-air. And that will help him to just make sure that this meter count of his opponent isn't going to be getting out of hand anytime soon. This hatch will go down. Kill, no cancel. Man, these 4th bases, they don't like cancelling them, do they? Serral will begin to set up the extractors. Mutas still flying around on either side. 16 to 19 though. ByuL ahead on the meter count. And we'll see if, again, that's just Serral losing a couple in the, well, 4 to 3 we lost. Still pretty even. The +2 missiles right now, though. The interesting thing is the Lings have +1 Carapace for ByuL, and that's something which Serral will not have. He's got +2 missile attack, which is obviously completely useless against these Lings right now when he's playing Lings of his own. So it's a weird situation. Serral pulls back, will fight with Lings and mutas and queens. Everything together is generally going to be better than stuff on its own. Mutas from ByuL, high enough numbers just fly in towards this main base. We'll lose 1 muta right away to a Spore Crawler. Uh-oh, Spire being targeted down. Obviously, that is pretty darn huge. Serral immediately rebuilds the Spire. Meanwhile, his Lings skirmishing over here. I mean, losing the Spire is just maybe even game-changing, because now you just cannot keep up with muta production. It means that Serral has to stay so passive. And he's already down on mutas, man. Serral. Serral, what do you do now, man? I actually don't know what he does now, because he's also losing the fight to the right-hand side. ByuL just has a little bit too much. Still pushing up this right side. Lings keep on running in. Queens do just about manage to hold off here. Serral's obviously banking a lot of gas. He actually throws down an infestation pit and a Hydra den, so he is really going to take this into the defensive approach for these Mutalisks. It's almost as though ByuL's plan throughout the entire game has just come together way better than Serral's, to go into the Carapace, not invest into the +2 for Roaches, because he knows he's going to be playing Ling heavy later in the game. Mutas back in towards the main, they find themselves an Overlord kill. I mean, the Mutas for Serral will still fly around. He's down by 9 now, though. And he does spend money on Infestors and Hydras rather than further Mutalisk production, so he has to be cautious. Again, an attack to the right-hand side. Ling's going to move forwards here. Queens will hold their own with some Lings of their own to help out. Serral will give up the main base, which means he's going to lose the remaining gas mining on this, which is, again, unfortunate. Not something you want to have happen to you at this point. Burrow starts up for the Infestors. Obviously, the kind of the sudden fungal is the threat here right now, but ByuL's going to find an Infestor right away. Just seeing that already is huge for him. As here we go, big fight. The Mutas are just fighting each other on their own. Queen's trying to transfuse what they can. The Mutas here from Serral pull back. He actually wastes a shot onto Roaches. As Serral, can he fight this? Can he still fight this? Transfuse is still dropping down, but the Muta count just is not there. Hydras and Queens on the ground still pushing it away. 9 Mutas to 23. Not looking pretty for Serral, but he is getting a much kind of stronger army to actually fight against this Muta count of his opponent. So he's getting to the stage he can engage into this a bit better. He still has to fight with everything at once. Burrow coming up for these Infestors. They have a fungal growth available now, as again, ByuL is towards the main base with these Mutalisks, and he is flying around all over the shop, trying to catch Serral's Mutas once again. Serral is going to be in trouble as he loses 1, 2, and 3 more, at least. One Muta that's ahead of the rest is setting on up. Burrow is about to finish these Infestors. Need to get in position. ByuL not going to be baited too far forwards, though. He knows about the Infestors. He's not going to run into a position that puts him at risk of dying to those. Muta's into the main now, and he's going to be able to once again just shut down this hatchery. I mean, again, like, it's just the gas mining that Serral's going to be missing out on more so than anything else. Using the few Mutas he still has left to just attack in the center. I like the fact he cancelled the Spire in the end when he was rebuilding it. I mean, in the end, it's been much better for him, I think, to go into Hydras and Infestors. Once you fall behind in Muta count, it's so difficult to kind of stay, to catch back up ever again, A few Mutas to the far right side. Mutas all the way over, coming over to the right here from ByuL as well. Centrifugal hooks just continue to build up here, and the thing is, these Hydras don't want to be on their own. What's on the ground, by the way, for ByuL? Is he only got Mutas? He's got 16 Roaches as well. 27 Hydras. The Infestors, of course, one of the big threats here. As you see them just burrowing around under the ground, looking for that fungal growth, which could change the entirety of this game. ByuL finishes maxing out. He'll start to build a bank. As again, the Muta control, or the Muta flock is, flying towards the Infestors. Serral catches them. That's it. That's the fungal that can start to change this. Another fungal lands. He's going to keep on chaining it. These Mutas are very, very dead. So that's maybe not quite all of them, but it's a good chunk to begin with. ByuL just going to rebuild into Hydras, though. Ling run by. Nice little bit of burrow play on the drones to make sure they stay alive. And a lot of this army to the left side from ByuL setting up as well. Some Lings jumping up in towards the main, seeing where they can get to also. Lings continue to work their way through the spawning pool right now, actually, which could be a bit more frustrating than you realize. Oh, it's going to be another fungal growth! Serral wasn't paying attention. He wasn't expecting the Mutas just to be sat right there. Well, that would have been, again, the rest of the Mutas more or less dead. At this point, the issue for Serral is the fact that his opponent's army composition is pretty powerful, but actually he has a lot of Hydras. Spore Crawler here will pick away at 1 Mutalisk. Just the 1, though. Again, a Ling run by towards the upper right-hand side. I mean, Serral has to sort of pull back and get ready to deal with this. Meanwhile, this big Roach Hydra army is trying to push into position where the Infestors. They're going to come back down. He's just given up his natural expansion. Serral, he has to still go and deal with this at some point, though, in some way. He's going to move forwards with not really enough Hydras at all. He's going to lose his +1 Carapace upgrade as well. Well, he's actually going to keep it alive by just a couple of seconds. Is he actually going to allow it to finish, though? Serral on a way higher army supply. That Evolution Chamber, 113 out of 114 it gets denied on. Wow. So has to be careful here, ByuL. One fungal growth could just change everything on that army, and he still can lose this fight. He is still down, only on +1/+1 against +2 missiles, and +2 missiles is still pretty huge. Queen's coming up to this top side. They're on their own at the moment against these roaches. Again, Serral is just getting outpositioned, outplayed at the moment in the last few moments. Has just been consistently found in the wrong positions. A Roach Warren going to drop as well. ByuL with such a bank behind this. Nice transfuse. Roach Warren does actually survive in the end. A few meters that are left over of Serral are still trying to find some sort of harassment just to do something, anything, which might help him out throughout the remainder of this game. Meters from ByuL. Not many of them left, only 10. There still is a strong army from Serral. We're talking 27 to 16 Hydras, Roach count even. Serral actually ahead in Ravages as well. In fact, Serral's Grand Army is way better with Infestor support too. Serral's army is just straight up stronger. But there's the Lurkers. And the Lurkers are something which Serral just has absolutely no answer to. You know, he's got no real hope of heading in towards Hive Tech here. So he doesn't really have a chance to get into Vipers, at least not in the foreseeable future. Like, not before these mutants are just, you know, not before this fight happens. So the Lurker Den, the Lurker play, is what's basically just going to save our Korean Zerg player here against an army that otherwise I think is somewhat unkillable. Now, the Ravagers still can't hit the Lurkers. The Lurkers should probably just hold position so they don't fire. There's still ways to play around this for Serral, but it gets to the point where at some point he has to fight the Lurkers. And that ain't going to be pretty when it begins to happen at all. And again, Corrosive Battle's going to be good against Lurkers. But there's just going to be so many of them that realistically fighting them with this amount, you know, with this army is just going to be so difficult. And ByuL, how many of these have you got? 11 of them? 11 Lurkers right now. We see these roaches working their way through the drones on this mineral line. This is actually really nice, shutting down some of the economy of ByuL, although it does just allow him to make a bit of a larger army if you would like to. Serral sees those Lurkers now to the south side. He does start to build actually a Spire and a Greater Spire. Corrosive Battles will kill one Lurker. Kills 2 Lurkers. That's the sort of trade Serral needs. Really needs, honestly. I mean, if he keeps trading like that, it would be fantastic. It's tough to see him continue to do it, though. I mean, he is getting into that Hive Tech, and I feel the Hive Tech is going to be hugely crucial. Because just even being able to build like a Viper or two, to blinding cloud the Lurkers out of an engagement, could be so huge. We're going to see actually Serral now starting to move into this position over here. Big fungal growth just to keep the army at bay. Uh-oh, his Infestor's in a bit of a precarious position near the front. Being targeted down, he will lose another one. Serral, it's again trades or losses that he can't really afford. He isn't in a position to really replace units here like this, although he is getting this base up over to the side. Income advantage you can see has been in ByuL's favor for a while now. Resources lost is pretty even. We're going to see this fight right here. Serral's actually fighting out of range of the Lurkers, which is exactly what he has to do. Corrosive Battle's going to come down these other Lurkers over here. Does he still have an Overseer? No, but he doesn't need it because he takes down the Lurkers with the Biles. There's 2 more Lurkers in position right there. No Biles available just yet. Somehow Serral escapes from the jaws of the shark, which is ByuL's army. Or, well, the spines of the Lurkers. He escapes, he survives as Queen's another Infestor. The Queens can transfuse up some of this army. He could just burrow it to increase the regen rate. Lurker's going to push up this ramp. I mean, immediately one Lurker going to go down. He's going to Corrosive Battle down. Another one, not quite. Overseer sees where it is though, so he can just Corrosive Battle in pretty quickly anyways. Lurkers on the low ground, I don't think it's a good enough position for ByuL. They're not far enough forwards, but if they go further forwards, the Corrosive Battles are going to be somewhat deadly. I mean, this hatchery might go down for Serral. But it's not like ByuL is really mining from the right side of the map either. Fungal growth, that's really awesome. Corrosive Battles will kill a lot here. And it's the Overseers actually which get the take the kind of full kind of power of that damage for a moment. Alright, well. Who's actually got more left on these bases? 400, 400, 800, 200, 5, 6, 5, 7. So ByuL's got a slightly healthier 4th base, which makes it even more important for Serral to do a bit more. Serral has these minerals over here, not many, but he could long distance mine it quite safely. Serral's also just going to be struggling for gas soon. He's only got 1,000 left on hatcheries that he's got built already. ByuL just have 1.7k. That's the differences right now. ByuL just has more bases. I mean, Serral's missing gas here and here, which he never mined out. And again, those kind of losses early in the game really is going to start biting Serral as the game continues now. You know, they might, obviously there were huge pickoffs back then, but now they really are starting to become even more impactful. I mean, Serral's gone into the Spire, the Hive. So what? What else is he going to be able to afford right now? Nothing. He can't afford a Greater Spire. There's no way he can get a Broodlord up. Even if he does get Broodlords up, I feel like they're just going to not be enough to kind of survive Corrosive Bars and Hydras. Big attack up this left-hand side as Serral. He sees it. He'll begin to respond. He might very well lose this base. Remember, he is still fighting actually sort of even upgrades now. He's got a missile against, +2 missile against +2 Carapace. This hatchery cancels and will just rebuild because Serral realizes the importance of the health on that. Nice fungal growth. Continue to fight. The Lurker will not do too much as this army is spread out quite nicely. Meanwhile, though, attack to the right side takes down an Extractor. Lurkers in the middle of the map will be the issue, but there is now Vipers up from Serral. We've talked about the importance of those, and he is going to abduct 1, 2, 3 Lurkers, and he's going to pick up all of those kills. No, not quite the last one. Yes, he does get it. Serral's army supply is starting to take a huge lead here. Left-hand side, once again, he is outmatched, outnumbered, and this hatchery might yet again go down. Another move to the right. Serral with kind of 1A syndrome right now, as much as I hate to say it about such a great player, but he is moving around the map a little bit too much. Jumps up here, does have to get rid of that Lurker still, which requires detection. As ByuL begins to establish this base, that base could be the game changer, because the fact that Serral hasn't been able to take this base is really what's slowing him down. The Lurker is actually going to kill a Roach in a moment. Kills 2 Roaches already. Moves this Roach to this side. He just needs an Overseer or something over here. There it is, and the Lurker will now drop. Army of ByuL realizing that. Well, it's tough because actually Army of ByuL doesn't really want to... well, okay, first of all, these Lurkers are going to go down. Army of ByuL doesn't want to move away from this base, but he sort of has to. Is he allowed to Lurkers? Does ByuL have no Lurkers left? He has none? Oh no, the fungal growths are so many of them available, and it's just going to allow Serral to keep trading so nicely here. Great fungal bile initially, another great fungal bile coming on up. Serral, I think he's done it, man. I think he just has a little bit too much right now. GG! What a game! Number 4. Jesus Christ. This and he makes it work. He keeps it rolling. Incredible. Bottom left side of Newkirk Precinct. The red Zerg player is ByuL. Bottom right side of Newkirk Precinct. The blue Zerg player is Serral. Oh, yeah. Is Serral. We're just going to go and get stuck here again, and then we're going to do this, so it looks as though we were never broken the camera. Perfecto. Perfect. Impeccable. Beautiful stuff. What on earth is this? Okay, so getting set up, ready to go. Into this game, which is going to be a hatch gas pool out of ByuL. Serral playing the safer opening here, just going to go gas pool hatch. Nothing really too crazy about that or anything, just making sure he's not going to be worrying too much about nonsense in the early game. It's a slight build order advantage for ByuL, but it's pretty neat on either side. And as you just see, the Queen's on the way out! Queen's on the way! And all the rest of it as well, too. Yeah, what's up, guys? How are we feeling? Duttle's being a god, AFKing in multiple streams to hand out more ad revenue. Literally saving esports. Sadly, no one knows who he is still. Who the hell is Duddles? Do you think one day the meme might transform into, hey, I know Duddles? Still just as pointless, but slightly more, what do you say? How do you say it? Slightly more, positive for Duddles, I guess. I don't know. Bane's much faster here for Serral, who's obviously looking towards some sort of Ling-Bane aggression in these very early stages. Looking to see what he can get up to and looking to see if he can get some damage done. There's a couple of Lings moving around, and I mean, I guess he doesn't necessarily have to try and get damage done or anything. He's actually got a lot of minerals, though. I'm intrigued to see what he spends them on. Intrigued to see. It's just like a mixture of drones and Lings. Okay. Neither player really going to do too much then. ByuL might morph in a couple of Banes up here. There isn't really much of a reason to kind of use these couple of Lings up on the high ground for much other than morphing Banes. You know, you don't usually just put Lings there for the fun of it. And as we do see Ling speed still on the way down, and again an Overlord here from Serral just on the way up. Queen does throw an inject onto the natural third hatchery building too, and well, there's those couple of Lings trying to get in from ByuL. Just going to use them to scout in the end. And we're going to see ByuL throwing down a quick Evo chamber. So, quick Evo chamber out of ByuL here. And Serral continues to run around with these couple of Lings. It's going to be another inject. And then he can try and do a little bit more as well. Eventually, this Ling will die. I promise you guys. Don't use the Banes on it. Good stuff by Serral. Keeps them alive. And there's a third hatchery dropping down from both players, so... Third hatch dropping down from both. Rotron will come into play here right away from Serral. Now, again, super fast Evo from ByuL is obviously going to immediately give him a +1 advantage in terms of timing window. And ByuL going Lair as well. Like, Serral, again, he keeps going for the faster third hatchery, but he keeps ending up with the much later sort of tech in the game. Now, he's drawn up a bit further. Still no sign of an Evo. Still no sign of a Lair with a lot of gas in the bank. Is this going to be a big attack? Is he just going to go Roach? I mean, can he go just for a big Roach attack early? I mean, I guess so. Because that really does seem as though what he's going for. Like, no drone production, waiting for the Roach to finish to spend all of this money all at once on all the Roaches. Serral starts another Overlord, which is again just indicative of more Roaches being made. 8 of them on the way up. Oh, a little bit of a dance back and forth for some Ling Bane here. Going to force a couple more Banes to be made. 10 Roaches. Does ByuL make Roaches when that Roach run finishes? He starts Roach speed. Doesn't have that much gas just yet. Queen currently pushing an Overlord away. Now that's obviously nice because the further away this Overlord is, the less time it the longer it is until ByuL actually sees this attack coming across the map towards him. Right now, ByuL is still just making more drones. He's over-droning, which means that Serral has a good opportunity. This Overseer of ByuL is on the way, but again, we'll not see the Roaches just yet. Will the Overseer complete? It will, but only to back away, so still no sign of this. Bane will move forwards. Now the Roaches are sighted. ByuL has 6 on the way. First Ravagers morphing in from Serral as he pushes on towards his opponent. Now, +1's about to finish. It's going to be a huge, huge part of this. Drones pulling away from the third base. Corrosive Bowels, 2 of them, 4 of them actually, sorry, I didn't realize there's all 4 used there. Well, let's see how this goes. Would it maybe been better to use the Corrosive Bowels on these Roaches about to pop out on the low ground, as in, get the eggs and try and cancel them? Will not happen. You can see he tries to do it right now. Still catches those Roaches initially, but ByuL actually supply blocked. Can't build more Roaches at the moment. Couple of Banes, though, will get rid of the Lings. A few of the Lings from Serral able to pull away here. Still the Ravagers able to do a lot for Serral, hitting some good Corrosive Biles. He needs to win this game very shortly, though. More Biles will cancel those Banelings. I think Serral's done it. I think ByuL has just overdrone, being a bit too greedy. Cancels these Roaches on the low ground as well, which means even less production for ByuL. Queens go down, no further injects from those. Overlords get killed again. ByuL's going to hit another supply block. There's no way, even with the +1 missile attack upgrade. He's going to pull drones into this. A little bit of a move command there from Serral, but now drones are obviously dropping very quickly to try and help out in some way, shape, or form. He will try and use this to just do something, but again, he's losing production. If you can't build off your natural, your third is dead. It means that Serral is just going to have way too much, and Serral is going to go up against Neeb in the winner's match. GG! Serral! What a absolute god. 5 games against ByuL, one of the best ZvZ comebacks I've ever seen in Game 4. Game 1 was really sick as well. Great micro and decision making throughout. I mean, this guy, I'm on my